guys, it's Miss Landis here coming to you from my kitchen. I decided to make this video a little bit different today because I miss all of your faces and hopefully you miss mine too. So today we're working on topic 16, lesson 4, which is line symmetry. We're going to complete the solve and share, the convince me, and page 841 to 842, numbers 1 through 25. So this is our outline for today. Let's flip this down and we'll get started. And we'll flip that around too. There we go. Okay, so for lesson 16.4, our title is line symmetry. The I can statement is I can recognize and draw lines of symmetry and identify line symmetric figures. So symmetry means showing something that is equal. So first I wanted to show you examples of symmetry before you got into the solve and share, just because I think it's easier to understand symmetry when you see an example versus a non-example. So I found these two coasters in my home, and I was looking around my home for things that had symmetry, something that had symmetry, and something that did not have symmetry. So I have these two coasters, and one of them has actually 2 lines of symmetry, and one of these coasters has 0 lines of symmetry. So maybe you can take a second and think about, and I put them in the communicator so I could draw with the marker and show you the lines of symmetry. Think for a second, which out of these 2 coasters do you think has a line of symmetry? And which coaster does not have a line of symmetry? And when I was looking at them, I kind of turned them around. 2, and I'm sorry, this light is so bright from my kitchen that it's kind of blinding the coaster, but okay. So when I looked at these coasters, first I was thinking, is there a way that I would be able to draw a line down the middle and create something equal on both sides? When I looked at this coaster, the first thing I was thinking about was where I could draw it and make the 2 sides equal, like cut it in half. So thinking about what 1/2 of a shape is important here in knowing our fractions, that 2 halves make a whole. But both of these sides aren't the same because look at the colors. If we're looking at the colors, then we have kind of like an orange beige color here, but this is a brown. It's not the same color. These 2 colors are the same, but these 2 colors are different. So we can't draw a line of symmetry there because the colors aren't the same. So when you're drawing lines of symmetry, look for the same shape on both sides of the line and the same colors and patterns is really important. You could also draw a line here, but we can see they're not equal. They're not the same. The shape patterns are different. The color patterns are different. This coaster does not have any lines of symmetry. You could draw it many different ways to separate into 2 equal parts. However, those parts don't match and they're not the same. They don't look the same. They don't have the same colors. Looking at this coaster here, there's actually 2 lines of symmetry that you could draw. If you sorry, it's something on my communicator. If you drew a line that way, then the patterns on both sides are the same. The lines meet up at the same spots. They have the same colors. And I'm just drawing these lines to show you that each part is equal. So lines of symmetry have to cut a shape in half and show two equal-sized parts and also two equal patterns or colors as well. So this would be another line of symmetry that you could draw. So this coaster has two lines of symmetry, and this coaster has 0 lines of symmetry. So something fun that you can do would be to look for lines of symmetry in different items in your own home. And that's a good way to practice with it. Okay, so for our solving chair, how many ways can you fold the square so 1/2 fits exactly on top of the other half? How many ways can you fold the letter so 1/2 fits exactly on top of the other half? So what they're asking here is for you to draw lines of symmetry. It's for you to say, how many lines of symmetry can I draw when I'm looking at this shape? So go ahead and try it, and when you're finished, you can unpause the video to watch how I go over it. All right, so I'm going to draw lines of symmetry here with the square, and you can have a lot of different lines of symmetry with the square because all of the sides are equal. All of the angles are equal. So first, think about if you were folding a square piece of paper, really, you could fold it in half this way. And I'm sorry, I am not a perfect human, so my lines are not going to be perfect. But you could also fold it in half like that. That would be 2 lines of symmetry. But there are other ways that you could fold it. If you folded it in half across this way, you could also fold it in half across that way, and it would be the same size on both sides. So count the amount of lines that you drew. I kind of pick a starting point and label it. So I drew 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of symmetry. Now this is line 1, so we don't put a 5 there. There's 4 lines of symmetry that we could draw for the square. So just to write a sentence to answer that question, the square has 4 lines of symmetry. Now let's look at the letter G. So thinking about where I could potentially draw lines of symmetry, if I had my pencil, I might just sketch it out to try it. So if I sketched a line here, we want to see like a mirror image. Think about when you look in the mirror, you see the reflection of yourself. So if this were the mirror, this side will not see a reflection of itself over here. We can't draw a line of symmetry there. If we, tried to sketch something here, once again, no symmetry is shown. Any way that you could sketch lines to try to cut this in half, the halves are never going to be equal halves. They're not going to look the same on both sides. So the G has no lines of symmetry. There are other letters of the alphabet that have lines of symmetry, but G does not. So we can say the letter G has 0 lines of symmetry. Okay, now for today, actually we don't have to complete the look back, so we can just flip right into the lesson. And our essential question is, what is line symmetry? A figure is line symmetric if it can be folded on a line to form 2 matching parts that fit exactly on top of each other. The fold line is called a line of symmetry. there's one line of symmetry drawn on the picture of the truck. How many lines of symmetry do the figures below have? So we can see one line of symmetry in the truck, and we can't draw any other lines because I like to just practice sketching it with my pencil as kind of guess and check, trial and error. If we cut it in half about right here, all right, well, the bottom does not match the top. Down here we have wheels, we have lights, we have that front part, whatever you call it. And up here we have the top of the truck. It doesn't match. So that's why there's only that one line of symmetry. In B down here, a figure can have more than one line of symmetry. So this shape would be a rectangle. We would be able to fold it on this line and fold it on that line, and both halves would look exactly the same. Some figures have a ton of lines of symmetry, like this figure here, which is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided figure, so it's a hexagon. Look how many lines of symmetry. Now, if I were doing this, I would number them just to keep myself organized when I'm counting them. So I'd do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is line 1, so we can stop there. So that's how you can kind of keep yourself organized when you're counting the lines of symmetry. This figure is line symmetric. It has 6 lines of symmetry. It can be folded on each line of symmetry into matching parts. Now, this pink figure here in box D is not line symmetric. A figure can have no lines of symmetry, just like the letter G. This figure is not line symmetric. It has 0 lines of symmetry. It cannot be folded to have matching parts. And I always just, like I said, will draw and kind of sketch a line of symmetry to see if they match. So, like, these parts don't match. These parts don't match. These parts don't match. So, since it doesn't match on either side, this would not be a line of symmetry. If I drew a line across to attempt to cut the figure in half, I'll kind of turn my paper this way, we can see that they do not match. This is not the same as that. So you just have to use your kind of ability to judge what is the same to you, what looks the same and what looks different to you, to find something equal. And if you can see that you draw that line and both of them are exactly the same and equal, then the figure would be line symmetric. Okay, down to the convince me. Find 2 capital letters that have exactly 1 line of symmetry. Find 2 capital letters that have exactly 2 lines of symmetry. So this is how we're going to set this up. 1 line of symmetry. You need to have 2, and then 2 lines of symmetry. You need to have 2 for each. So you can go ahead and pause the video here, try to figure it out, and then unpause it when you have 2 capital letters on each side. Okay, so we need a capital letter with 1 line of symmetry. The first letter I thought of was an A, because it's the first letter of the alphabet, so I kind of brainstormed it in my mind, and I said, does the capital A have lines of symmetry? Does it have 1? Does it have 2? So in my head I was thinking, would I be able to kind of like cut it in half? And I realized that there's only one way that you would be able to do that. And that would be kind of from the top and the bottom. This would be a line of symmetry, and we have the same thing on both sides. The next letter that I thought of in the alphabet was B, because it comes after A. So in my head, I pictured it, and then I'm like, okay, I'll sketch it out. Now, if I drew the most perfect B in the world, then it would be the most perfect symmetry ever. But, like I said, I'm human and I'm not able to draw a perfect B. However, this here would be a line of symmetry because we would have the same on the top and the bottom. So they're showing their lines of symmetry with arrows, so I'm going to start doing that too, because they are lines. They're not line segments. A and B both have one line of symmetry. What about an O? An O has two lines of symmetry because you could draw a line up and down, and you could draw it across. And then, what other letters are there that have lines of symmetry? I'm just going through the alphabet in my head, and I actually have oh no, I thought I had an alphabet paper, but it's numbers, so I was wrong. So I thought of one. An I. I'll kind of erase some of that. My letters are not perfect. With the I, you could draw a line here, and you could have a line of symmetry here. And there's other letters that you could draw too. I'm thinking in my head an H would work for two lines of symmetry. The letter D could work for one line of symmetry, because you could draw the line here. So you might have had different letters than I did, but these are just my examples. So lines of symmetry, just remember you want it to be exactly the same on the other line, or on the other side of the line of symmetry, and then you can say that the figure is line symmetric. All right, let's do 1 through 7. Make sure for 4 through 5 you tell if each line is a line of symmetry. So you're either saying yes or no. And for number 6, tell how many lines of symmetry each figure can have. So you just have to have a number there. You can pause here, try them yourself, and then I will go over them when you unpause the video. Okay, for number 1, how many lines of symmetry does the letter R have? So first, I'm just going to draw it. The thing that's kind of tough about this is everyone draws their letters just slightly different. Looking at the R, I'm like, I could cut it in half here. That's not going to be the same. If I cut it in half here, that's not going to be the same. So how many lines of symmetry does the R have? The R has 0 lines of symmetry. Okay, for number 2, how many lines of symmetry does the figure below have? Okay, I'm looking at this shape, I see that I can sketch a line here. And we have like the same kind of thing going on both sides. If I sketched a line here, no, it wouldn't work. It's all about guessing and checking, trial and error, trying to sketch a line and seeing if it works. We can only get one line of symmetry across this shape, so the figure has one line of symmetry. Number 3, construct arguments, math practice 3. How many lines of symmetry can you find for a circle? Do you think you can count them? This is a crazy question. So if you draw a circle, circles are completely even the entire way around. So you could fold that circle endlessly in different ways in order to create multiple lines of symmetry, because you could have so many different points on a circle. And once again, my circle isn't perfect, but you could do it there. You could do it here. You could draw a line of symmetry here and here. And right now that's only, what, 4 ways? But you could do like an infinite amount of ways to draw lines of symmetry on a circle because it's even all the way around. So to answer that question, let's construct an argument and form an answer. So first, how many lines of symmetry can you find for a circle? I'm thinking of how I would word that, maybe an infinite amount. Infinity is like uncountable, right? So an amount of lines that you wouldn't even be able to count them all. Do you think you can count them? Probably not. So a circle has more lines of symmetry than you can really count. That could be our argument. And we don't have to write because this and that. They don't give us that much space. A circle has more lines of symmetry than we can count because you could fold it across different lines of symmetry in an endless amount of ways. Okay, for 4 through 5, tell if each line is a line of symmetry. For number 4, there's like this big open part up here but not down here, so we're going to go with that is a no. And for number 5, if you folded that across a line, they would be equal, so that is a yes. For 6 and 7, tell how many lines of symmetry each figure has. Well, for number 6, I could fold it about right here, and that would be 1. But if I tried to fold it kind of here, that wouldn't work. We can't fold it diagonally, so we're going to go with 1 line. And for number 7, this is a funky shape, a lightning bolt. It's going to have 0 lines of symmetry. So my advice for when you get down to 12 through 19 is when you're drawing your lines of symmetry, it says draw and tell how many lines. Just count them like I did in the example here, because it'll kind of help you stay organized so that you're writing the correct amount of lines. So that is lesson 16.4. Remember that you also have to complete, it says 1 through 25. So this page ends at 19. You have to go all the way up to 25 on the back. We miss you guys. I hope that you're staying safe and healthy at home, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day.